Hey, hi, hello you all. This is Radhe Verma and I am so excited to bring up with second video on SD-WAN series. This video will help you to provide details about all of the controllers and describe about how bring up process event happens during the SD-WAN evaluation. If you are keen to know more detail about this SD-WAN course, like syllabus and other facts, you may surf the website that is provided on the screen, which is www.netminion.net. By the way, NetMinion Solution is one of the well-known institute in India where hundreds of people already get benefited so far. Not only from networking field, but many different courses like automation in networking security and F5 using Python, ACI, wireless, AWS, Nexus, F5 LTM, GTM, ASM, and a lot more. Okay, enough said. Let's learn further on the next slide. I would like to ask this question from you. What's your opinion? Why we require a SD-WAN solution? Okay, let's discuss the same by understanding the issues in legacy technology, which has become increasingly expensive and complex, and it cannot scale to meet the needs of today's multi-site enterprise network. So why the traditional approach cannot scale to meet today's need? First factor is cost. Legacy networks run on expensive hardware such as routers and switches, which require time-consuming configuration and maintenance. In addition, these networks require expensive transport connections or carrier circuits to secure and segment the network. Second factor is complexity. Legacy networks operate on the old model of a distributed control plane, which means that every node in the network must be configured with routing and security rules. Remote site management, change control, and network maintenance represent major logistical challenges. Then, lengthy installation times. Legacy networks that run on dedicated carrier circuit depend on the carrier to install new circuit, and which can take several months sometimes to deploy it and provisioned. This can dramatically delay the launch of new branch locations. Fourth factor is control. Legacy networks that run on carrier circuits sacrifice control to the ISP, from network design to configuration and to monitoring. Requesting changes from the ISP also requires extra time and is prone to communication errors. Whereas the Cisco SD-WAN, based on time-tested and proven elements of networking, offer an elegant software-based solution that reduces the cost of running enterprise networks and provide straightforward tools to simplify the provisioning and management of large and complex networks that are distributed across multiple locations. Also, SD-WAN inherit authentication and security process that ensure the safety and privacy of the network and its data traffic. We can say it represents an evolution of networking from an older hardware-based model to a secure software-based virtual IP fabric. By the way, virtual IP fabric, also called an overlay network. It forms a software overlay that runs over standard network transport services, including the public internet, MPLS, and broadband. Let's see more on this. Guys, I will say you to pause this video and answer on this question. How many controllers are there in SD-WAN architecture and what is their usage? Okay, I hope you think about the same. Now let's see the answers now. So as you can see in the slide, there are three devices. Do not get confused about the VH, like where is that? That is not a controller, by the way. Let's start with Cisco vManage. Cisco vManage is a centralized network management system, or we can say NMS. It provides the dashboard or a visual windows into the network, and it allows you to configure and manage Cisco vEdge network devices. Cisco vManage can be a physical device or software runs on a server in the network. This server is typically situated in a centralized location such as a data center. You can use Cisco vManage to store certificate credentials and to create and store configuration for all Cisco vEdge network components. As these components come online in the network, they require their certificate and configuration from Cisco vManage only. Second controller is vBond Orchestrator. It automatically coordinates the initial bring up of Cisco vSmart controllers and vEdge router. The Cisco vBond Orchestrator is the only Cisco vEdge device. I said vEdge, yes, we will talk about that in later. Okay, that is located in a public address space. It must have a public IP address so that all Cisco vEdge device in the network can connect to it. This design allows the Cisco vBond Orchestrator to communicate with Cisco vSmart controllers and vEdge routers that are located behind NAT devices, and it allows the Cisco vBond Orchestrator to solve any NAT traversal issues of the Cisco vEdge devices. It creates a DTLS tunnel to the Cisco vSmart controller and vEdge router to authenticate each node that is requesting control plane connectivity. This authentication behavior assures that only valid customer nodes can participate in the Cisco SD-WAN overlay network. The DTLS connections with the Cisco vSmart controller are permanent, so that the vBond controller can inform the Cisco vSmart controller as any of new vEdge routers join the network, whereas the DTLS connection with vEdge routers are temporary. Once the Cisco vBond Orchestrator has matched a vEdge router with a Cisco vSmart controller, there is no need for the Cisco vBond Orchestrator and the vEdge router to communicate with each other. The Cisco vBond Orchestrator maintains no state. Third controller is Cisco vSmart. Again, when we cover Cisco vSmart, there are some major components of even the Cisco vSmart controller, which are, the very first is control plane connections. So let me pen down. The first component is control plane connections. So when I am saying control plane connections, it means that each Cisco vSmart controller establish and maintain a control plane connection with each vEdge router in the overlay network. Each connection runs a DTLS tunnel is established after the device authentication succeeded. Remember, I was telling that device authentication should be the first point, and it carries the encrypted payload between the Cisco vSmart controller and the vEdge router. This payload consists of root information necessary for the Cisco vSmart controller to determine the network topology, and then to calculate the best routes to the network destinations and distribute this route information to the vEdge routers. One thing is important, that the DTLS connection tunnel between the vSmart and the vEdge router is not temporary but the permanent connection, unlike your vBond tunnel. Then let's talk about the second component, which is OMP. OMP stands for Overlay Management Protocol. It is a routing protocol similar to the BGP that manages the Cisco SD-WAN overlay network. OMP runs inside DTLS control plane connections, and it carries the routes, next hops, keys and policies information which is needed to establish and maintain the overlay network. OMP runs between the Cisco vSmart controller and the vEdge router and carries only control plane information. So we can say the Cisco vSmart controller process the routes and advertise reachability information learned from these routes to the other vEdge routers in the overlay network. Let us talk about the third component, which is authentication. The Cisco vSmart controller has pre-installed credentials that allow it to authenticate every new vEdge router that comes online. These credentials ensure that only authenticated devices are allowed to access the network. Okay, let's talk about one more, that is the fourth, and it is known as NetConf, or maybe you can say CLI. NetConf is a standards-based protocol used by Cisco vManage to provision a Cisco vSmart controller. And in addition, each Cisco vSmart controller provides local CLI access and AAA. So in short, if I summarize it, the Cisco vSmart controller maintains a centralized route table that stores the route information called OMP routes, and it learns from the vEdge router and from any other Cisco vSmart controller in the Cisco SD-WAN overlay network. Based on the configuration policy, the Cisco vSmart controller shares this route information with the Cisco vEdge routers in the network so that they can communicate with each other. Now you have a fair knowledge about all of these controllers. Now let's discuss further. This slide will talk about sequence of events of the bring up process. The bring up process for edge devices includes authenticating and validating all the devices and establishing a functional overlay network. It occurs with only minimal user input. Now from a conceptual point of view, the bring up process can be divided into two parts. One that requires the user input and one that happens automatically. In the first part, you design the network, maybe create the virtual machines instance for the cloud routers and install the boot hardware routers. Then in Cisco vManage, you add the routers to the network and create configuration for each router. The second part of the bring up process occurs automatically. As router join the overlay network, they validate and authenticate themselves automatically, and they establish secure communication channels between each other. For vEdge cloud routers, you must generate a certificate signing request, also known as CSR, install the received certificate, and then upload the serial number that is included in the certificate to Cisco vManage. After Cisco hardware routers start, they are authenticated on the network and receive their configuration automatically from Cisco vManage through a process called GTP, which you are already aware that it is zero touch provisioning. Okay, so let us talk about the next slide, which is very much powerful and would describe about all of the steps. So from a functional point of view, the task of bringing up the routers in the overlay network occurs in some sequence. And what is that sequence, guys? That is very much important. So let us talk about the same, that the very first sequence will be you need to make the software on for Cisco vManage that is residing where? That is residing in your data center. So we can write down vmanage. Second, so we are just making the vmanage on. Second, the Cisco vBond orchestrator starts on a server that is residing in DMG. So we are starting vBond. Third, the Cisco vSmart controller starts on a server. Again, the Cisco vSmart would be residing in your data center. So vSmart. Fourth, the Cisco vmanage and the Cisco vBond orchestrator authenticate each other. So we can say vmanage and vBond will authenticate each other. Also, the Cisco vmanage and the Cisco vSmart controller authenticate each other. So we can say vmanage and vSmart. And also the Cisco vSmart controller and the Cisco vBond orchestrator securely authenticate each other. So vBond and vSmart. So once these steps are over, the fifth step would be your Cisco vmanage sends the configuration to your vSmart and your vBonds. Pause this. Here is the turn of your vEdge routers. You need to start out your vEdge routers. Then your vEdge routers will authenticate with vBond. Then your vEdge routers will authenticate with vmanage. And in the last, your vEdge authenticate with vSmart controller. Post this, in the 10th step maybe, vmanage will send all of the config to the vEdge. So guys, these are very important points, how you are bringing up routers in the overlay networks occurs in the sequence. So these 10 points you should be aware about if someone is asking in the interview or maybe some during a technical discussion. So let me recap that again. The first point is all the controllers need to be started. Okay, in the first 3 points I have mentioned about that. Second point is start the authentication between your controllers. And the third point, which is starting from the point number 6, that start your vEdge router or router, whatever you say, and it will authenticate with all of the controllers, and then vmanage will send the like configuration over here. Again, afterwards, how vSmart will come into the picture, we will be talking about that too, maybe later on. Okay, let's move to the next slide. This slide is in the continuity of the previous one only, and depicting that every device will automatically beginning a two-way authentication process. So you can see the steps also mentioned in the slide, like first your vmanage is coming up, then your vSmart is coming up, and these two devices are getting authenticated between each other, and also vmanage need to be authenticated to your vBond. Then your vBond is coming up and getting authenticated with the vSmart. Okay, and yes, with vmanage as well. Then you in the last you are making the v as up, and then your vs will getting authenticated with all of the other devices. Now once it all of the stuff would be done with your vmanage will send the full configuration to the vSmart. Vmanage will send the full vBond configuration file, and vmanage will send full vEdge configuration file as well. So we can say when a vEdge device comes up, how does it automatically discover the Cisco vmanage and Cisco vSmart controller, guys? So the vEdge device when comes up, it will establish a connection with your vSmart and vmanage. How? Actually, the initial configuration on the vEdge router contain the vBond system IP address, also the DNS as well. Using this information, the vEdge router establishes a DTLS connection with Cisco vBond orchestrator, and the two devices authenticate with each other to confirm that they are valid Cisco vEdge devices. Again, this authentication is a two-way process that happens automatically. When the authentication completes successfully, Cisco vBond orchestrator send the vEdge router the IP address of the Cisco vManage and Cisco vSmart controller. Then the vEdge router tear down its connection with the Cisco vBond orchestrator and begins establishing secure DTLS connection with the other two devices. Likewise, Cisco vSmart and vManage controller perform the authentication to ensure that the vEdge router belongs to its network, and the vEdge router also authenticates Cisco vSmart controller. When the authentication process completes, the DTLS connection between the two devices become permanent. Hope this gives a fair idea to you. And if you are looking for maybe the online training, there is a good news. We are coming up with some new batches. So guys, who are the keen to learn SD-WAN are most welcome in these batches. So in the NetMinion, we provide 3 modes of training. It is up to you what option you are opting for grooming yourself, and the 3 options are either you can for one-on-one training, you can come for the group training, and also you can come for the corporate training as well. Every package has different facilities and but obvious the cost related to it. So if you talk about the benefits, you have the plenty of benefits, some of them which are including on the slides, like you can have the lab access to get the practical work, you will be have the session recording. Apart from it, you will get enough study material, and you will be joining in a Telegram group for the further discussion maybe during the sessions and post that as well. So guys, if you are keen to learn and you want to enhance your skills, I would say you can just contact us on the method that is provided over here in front of you in the video. You just put an email or just call us or the WhatsApp on the number provided, and we are only one hop away. Last but not least, we are thankful to you for watching this video so patiently. If this adds any value to you, please like, comment, subscribe and share more and more. It takes so much time to create such videos, so I would request you to put out the comments. Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye bye.